What does it mean to be a disappointing NFL team? Usually it's not just a poor performance, because if that performance was expected, then it can't really be considered all that disappointing. It's a poor performance coupled with higher expectations, and those higher expectations almost always come from past performance. With that in mind, we have identified the most disappointing teams during the Super Bowl era, and we've done that through the use of C-Score, a metric created by this channel in order to properly evaluate every team from the Super Bowl era from top to bottom, beyond simply looking at its record. For a more thorough explanation of C-Score, be sure to check out the description of this video. This being the initial entry of this series, we will delve into our methodology. To qualify for this list, an NFL team will need to have a positive C-score one season, a higher C-score that surpasses 15 the next season, before a drop to a negative C-score the season after that. That would place this team in the third year into the disappointment category. As it turns out, 35 different teams fit this criteria, but we disregarded the 1977 Minnesota Vikings and the 2014 Carolina Panthers, because they not only made the playoffs, they won a playoff game. That then leaves us with 33 teams, and we're going to tackle them one by one. And at number 33 are the 2000 Buffalo Bills. Thank you for joining us today. We are ready to roll. The 1998 Bills put together a solid season, going 10-6 with a plus 67 point differential. The offense led the way, finishing 7th in scoring, while the defense was right in the middle of the pack, finishing 15th out of 30th in points allowed. This was all against a solid strength of schedule, resulting in a 12.113 C-score. By this point, the Bills were 5 years removed from their dominance of a weak AFC, resulting in their 4 consecutive conference championships, and with it their 4 consecutive Super Bowl losses. The AFC was growing stronger though, so if the Bills wanted to be part of this growing resurgence, then they needed to keep the pace. They took a big chance leading into the season, trading the number 9 overall pick in the draft, along with a 4th round pick, to acquire quarterback Rob Johnson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, a young passer with a stellar collegiate record thought to have a lot of untapped potential. To this point, Johnson had only made 1 career start, but it was undeniably incredible. With that 1 start and 368 career passing yards in 3 seasons, Johnson got himself a big contract for the time and was the clear starter going forward, again at the expense of a top 10 pick in the draft. Oh, and the Bills also added some other quarterback to their roster who hadn't played in the NFL for 9 seasons. After an 0-3 start, they went 10-3 the rest of the way, earning a wildcard spot in a highly competitive AFC East where 4 out of the 5 teams made the playoffs. All in all, pretty solid. They would lose their wildcard game at Miami, but 1999 was starting to take shape. Buffalo increased their record to 11-5 and their point differential to plus 91. They did drop to right in the middle of the pack in scoring, finishing 16th out of 31. Yeah, there were 31 teams now. But the defense came alive, allowing more than 100 fewer points and taking their ranking all the way to 2nd. Playing a solid schedule again, they landed a C-score of 17.504. So that means everything worked out with Rob Johnson, huh? Not so fast, my friend. He missed a lot of time with injuries in '98 and was replaced by that other quarterback the Bills picked up. That would be Doug Flutie, who had spent the last 9 seasons in the Canadian Football League, winning the CFL's Most Outstanding Player award 6 times and being part of 3 CFL Grey Cup winning teams. Their numbers weren't all that different, and in reality, Johnson was better in many ways. But Flutie's popularity and late-game heroics made him the starter even when Johnson was healthy, and that continued into 1999. But as we mentioned, the story in Buffalo this season was the defense. Amazingly, they had no Pro Bowlers on that side of the ball, but only the 14-2 Jaguars allowed fewer points against a much easier schedule. And indeed, by defensive C-score, the Bills did have the league's best D that year. Buffalo rode that to a second place finish in the AFC East and a spot in the wildcard round. But the quarterback drama was not over. Flutie didn't have a stellar season, but he had been the starter for 15 games. Then, heading into that wildcard game, head coach Wade Phillips pulled Flutie from the lineup and named Rob Johnson and his 34 pass attempts for the entire season as the starter. That remains a debated point to this day, but on that day, it was all overshadowed by the Music City Miracle. And just like that, the Bills' promising season went down the drain in a 22-16 loss to the Tennessee Titans. Now for the disappointment. Looking to get back into the playoffs in 2000, the Bills instead went 8-8 while being outscored on the season by 35 points. Their strength of schedule remained hard, in fact it got harder, but they dropped all the way down from 2nd in points allowed to 18th, with the offense doing even worse at 20th in points scored. They sat at 7-4 at one point, but they couldn't hold on. Neither did their C-score, dropping to negative 0.958. Both quarterbacks were still in tow, but the Bills had other problems to deal with. Outside of Pro Bowler Reuben Brown, the offensive line took a step back. While the defense did get 2 Pro Bowlers this time around, they allowed 121 more points, and while their rate stats were still strong, they were down across the board. And the QB play wasn't there either, despite a strong bounce-back season from wide receiver Eric Moulds. But something even bigger loomed. Their special teams breakdown in the 1999 playoffs led to the firing of Bruce DeHaven, their special teams coordinator for the past 13 seasons. That did not fix the problems. Here is a direct quote from Football Outsiders. Could special teams possibly be that negative? Oh yes, they could. The 2000 Buffalo Bills had the worst special teams of any team in any season for which we have data. I would not be shocked if they had the worst special teams of all time, except maybe for some expansion teams in the 60s and 70s. Everything about special teams was horrible for the Bills that year. That's quite the assessment, and it also helps explain all those extra points Buffalo gave up this season, with Steve Christie's terrible kickoffs regularly providing their opponents prime field position. Most head coaches in this situation would realize this extreme liability and move on from the special teams coordinator. After all, Wade Phillips threw a 13-year veteran of the coaching staff overboard, essentially based on one-trick play gone wrong. But new coach Ronnie Jones wasn't going anywhere. That is, if Phillips had his way. Owner Ralph Wilson wanted Jones fired. Phillips refused. So Wilson fired Phillips, and Jones for good measure. Loyalty is a wonderful thing, but so too is choosing your battles wisely. Jones has stayed in coaching ever since, but hasn't spent a single day on an NFL staff or even a Division I college football staff. Meanwhile, Bruce DeHaven remained a special teams coordinator in the NFL for 17 more seasons until his untimely passing, coaching in a Super Bowl, and even making a return to the Bills. There was a lot of promise to be had with these 2000 Bills, and the fact that it got squandered isn't on its own so terrible. It's the fact that it was squandered on account of so many self-inflicted wounds. And while it may be a stretch to say that it started the dominoes falling, it was the first of 17 consecutive seasons where the Bills failed to make it to the playoffs. Thank you for making it to this point of the video. Do the whole YouTube thing if you would please. Like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and ding that bell so you can be notified when we release our next video in this series, on top of every other video we release as well. In the grand scheme of things, an 8-8 record after a couple of one-and-dones in the playoffs may not scream massive disappointment, and hey, they were only 33rd here. But the way the 2000 Buffalo Bills went about it would surely have fans of the team legitimately dreaming of something better. I'd like to know your thoughts on this team, anything stated in this video, or anything else you may have on your mind, right down there in the comments section below. Looking forward to having you here when we reveal our number 32 team. Until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.